So for this video, we will discuss about the feeding management. Feeding management is basically the process of managing the quantity of nutrients fed to fishes for their intended purpose. So this involves development of diets that supply the quantity of available nutrients required by fishes for maintenance, production, performance, and reproduction. So how do we choose right fish feed? With so many varieties of fish feed, how can fish farmers choose one that suits the cultured fish best? One simple way is to compare the nutritional requirement of the species, availability, price, storage method, hygiene, and environmental impacts of different feeds, and see which one suits the needs of your fish farm best. So for this video, we will discuss them one by one. So first to look out for is the nutrition. Vegetarian feed and trash fish may not have sufficient nutrients to satisfy the needs of all cultured fish, and it can lead to a common problem of fishes, which is malnutrition, that will impair the natural resistance of the cultured fish and heighten the risk or make them susceptible to diseases. Pellet feed can be added with animal or plant protein, fish oil, or other fats, vitamin complex, and minerals as required by specific fish species. They are highly nutritious and can effectively improve the health of your fish stock. There are also fish feed that are specifically formulated for particular species such as grouper sea perch and gray mullet, so these are also available on the market. Next is the availability. The availability of fish feed depends on several factors. This includes the ingredient source and quality, production methods, and market demand. As we all know, there are certain feed ingredients that are produced only at a specific time due to changing weather patterns. In some regions, availability may be limited, leading to higher prices and potential shortages. As the demand for fish and seafood increases globally, ensuring a reliable and sustainable supply of fish feed will be crucial for the growth and development of the aquaculture industry. One of the most important factors to look out for in choosing feed is the price. And due to increase in prices or the increase in the cost of living in our country, it is wiser to be knowledgeable enough what type of feed to purchase and not compromising its quality, such as vegetarian fish feed and trash feed, which are cheaper than pellet feed made with fish meal and oil. But the cost of fish feed depends on ingredient source and quality, production methods, and market demand. Vegetarian fish feed is made with cheaper and more widely available plant-based ingredients. However, it may not contain all necessary nutrients for optimal fish growth. Another type of feed to consider is the trash fish, which is cheaper and sustainable, but its quality and nutritional value can vary, impacting fish growth. The cost-effectiveness of fish feed types varies depending on fish species, ingredient availability and cost, and production goals and practices. Next is hygiene. We need to make sure that the feed we purchase is made from safe and clean ingredients. High moisture fish feed becomes mold easily. It is vulnerable to bacteria and parasites also and must be stored properly. Vegetarian fish feed has a low moisture content and preservation treatment is usually not necessary. As long as it is stored properly, there should not be any bacteria or mold problems. Trash fish is high in moisture, about 70%, and if not stored properly at a low temperature, it can get heavily infested with bacteria or parasites, which can be risky for the fishes. It also rots easily, which may cause disease or even death. Molds from rotten feeds may produce certain toxic metabolites called mycotoxins, which can be fatal to fishes. Another factor to look out for is the storage method. Low moisture vegetarian fish feed and dry pellet feed can be kept for 2 to 3 months when stored in a covered, cool, dry place. High moisture trash fish and moist pellet feed can be kept for about 1 week when stored at a low temperature of -20 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, they must be used immediately after purchase. Lastly, environmental impacts. Powdery vegetarian feed will pollute water if left suspended in water for too long. On the other hand, trash fish threads are irregular in size and have high loss rate for about 40%. The feed residue deposited on the seabed or pond bottom will cause pollution, resulting in heightened risk of anoxia and mortality rate. After knowing what are the things we must consider in choosing feed for our fishes, it is important that feeding must not be too much or too quickly. This wastes money and pollutes fish farm. Observe how fish respond to feeding. Low consumption may be a sign of disease or deteriorating water quality. It is best to give frequent feeds in small quantities. Next is feeding management strategies. Feeding is done at least twice a day. For small fishes, feeding could be done based on demand. Artificial feeds such as finfish feed, prawn feeds, or a combination of rice bran fish can be given 20 to 30 fish meal, 70 to 80 rice bran. It is commonly used as feeds. Brood stock given high protein foods, larvae or fry given tiny live foods. As a continuation of feeding management strategies, juveniles could be given commercial feeds and feeding is done gradually. It is important to make sure that all fish have eaten. Feeds must be evenly distributed to the grow-out areas in order to avoid unequal consumption of feed, and also the avoid wastage of feeds. So that is all for the feeding management. Thank you for listening.